the human creativity is also a very different thing because we see it in its rawest form and strongest form in children. That means maybe we can also think of ways to make AI help children be more creative.
Bonjour, welcome to Wide Walls, a podcast where inspiring educators, researchers, designers, and innovators share their personal journey and their vision for creating better learning experiences for children. My name is Mathieu Penaud. I am a product manager and learning experience designer, and I am passionate about the role of design and technology in education and learning, and the humans behind it. If you find this episode insightful, share it with your friends and colleagues, and give us some stars on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you very much for your support and for being part of the conversation. And now, let's welcome our guest. Welcome, everyone. Today, I am excited and honored to speak with Evren Yiğit, joining us from Turkey. Evren is a renowned author and expert in children's content and storytelling. Hi, Evren. With a background in child development studies, media creation, and creative writing, and over 15 years of experience in the industry. Evren strongly believes in creating beneficial children's content that children love and enjoy, utilizing research in children's media studies and industry content. And this is why she co-founded Mako Kids in 2017, a children-first media production and consultancy company that specializes in creating quality content for kids of all ages. And her vision has led Mako to partner with international organizations like UNICEF, empowering children from various backgrounds through meaningful content. She also recently co-founded KidsAI, a community hub and internet journal for safe, ethical, responsible, and beneficial AI practices and tools for children. Today, we will discuss Evren's passion for leveraging research and industry insights to create content that is both enjoyable and beneficial to children, with a focus on cultural sensitivity, inclusion, social behavior change, and the opportunities brought by AI to advance children's media. So, Evren, I can't wait to discuss all of these topics with you.
Me
Welcome to the
too.
show.
Oh, it's a beautiful show. I love it so much. And I'm honored to be here, actually, Matthew. Thank you very much for inviting me. And today, yes, we're going to talk about all these things and maybe some more.
I am sure. And why don't we start with some rapid fire questions? So I will ask you a series of questions, and the idea is to answer the first thing that comes to mind. And if you want to elaborate a little bit, it's all good too. All right. So the first question is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Istanbul, Turkey. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother 5 years younger than me, and I grew up in a very, very green city, actually. When I was
Nice.
growing up, it was like
Mm.
that more.
Yeah, things tend to get a little less green as we go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where do you live now?
I live in Istanbul. I have lived in other cities in my life, but I am now living in Istanbul and I enjoy it.
Great. And what was your favorite game as a kid?
Oh, I had many favorite games as a kid. Many. I loved playing games, but most of which would be street games because in the place where I grew up, I could go out on the street and play street games like hopscotch and all the things that are closer to it.
Mm, wonderful. And what was your favorite TV show as a kid?
When I was growing up, we had like a children's hour on our state kids TV, and I used to watch it like in the early mornings. And
Mm-hmm.
probably my most favorite would be Clementine. And but although it
Mm.
has a very sad story, I loved the way it was put together, and also like the female heroes like Shira, the princess of power, and that kind of stuff. I would jump around.
Mm.
And Nils and the Flying Goose is also one of my favorites.
Oh, nice. I don't think I know any of them, which is interesting because in France we had very different shows from
Clementine is
around
from
the world.
France, actually. You
Oh,
could check it out.
I mean, what is the show about? Maybe it has a
Very
different name.
sad, very, very sad. And there's
Oh,
this girl who lost her mom due to an. Today it won't happen, by the way, like Clementine the show.
mm,
Like it had, there was kind of a demon trying to, get her together with her mom. Her mom passed away due to this demon, but she was going back in time with her cat and trying to solve the issues that people are having with this demon. But it was, like we were like
wow.
mesmerized, like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine. Um, and talking about TV shows, even children's media in general, who is your favorite children's media character today?
Like as of children's media creators, or
No, I'm thinking like a character that you could see in a TV show or a book or any other
my well,
form of media.
I cannot say just one favorite, but like
Mm-hmm.
I deeply respect the Street characters. Like for example, Elmo is something that I truly admire. And as for cartoons, since I do like a lot of quality content, like I like to see a lot of Angelo Santamero's characters, come into play. And of course, like there are many shows that I can name, and I don't want to too much differentiate between them.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. Going back to your childhood, who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, you have nice questions. My favorite teacher was my Turkish language teacher, which is very normal because I turned out to be an author later.
Yeah. What made this teacher special to you?
I loved language. And like she would talk about language and literature. I loved how poems came into being. I loved reading stories. I loved telling stories. I was reading books a lot, so like it was inevitable, like we shared the same passion.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. And talking about school, what is one thing that all kids should learn at school?
All kids should learn empathy at school.
Hmm. And what is one thing that all adults should learn at work?
Empathy.
Nice. What is the skill that you're the most proud of?
I think I'm kind.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Yeah.
kindness is more like you ask the people around, rather than you saying yourself like you're kind.
Ah, that's a beautiful skill and it's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
And what is the professional creation that you're the most proud of?
Oh.
Something you created.
I have a lot of books, and each of them I keep dear to my heart. I have books for adults, I have books for children. I personally wrote a lot of cartoon series episodes, but like usually the thing I love most becomes the latest thing I do, because then I'm able to incorporate all the things I learned. So the latest thing I wrote is Kozalak Preschool, which is a 39 episode series that we did for UNICEF, for our Turkish Ministry of Education, and it's supported by EU. It's a special early childhood intervention project, Matthew, and I wrote
Mhm.
39 episodes of that series.
Wonderful. And we'll definitely dive a little deeper in this
Yeah.
project because I think it's very interesting. All right, last two questions. What is the latest thing you did for work?
The latest thing we did for work was to open up a channel called Ramadan Rhymes, because we think that intercultural dialogue and empathy is very, very important. and we wanted to open this
Mhm.
channel for even non-Muslim kids and their families, if they want to introduce to, like, what is, if they ask the question, what is Ramadan, what do these Muslim people do in Ramadan, and like just the basics with a very, like, we wanted to make something like a dialogue happen
Mm.
within the series.
Mm. Very nice. And what is the latest thing you did to relax?
Ah, I like listening to music a lot, but I also
Hmm.
compose music. And I think, like, these are two loves of my life, like language and music. So, like,
Yeah.
when a melody comes to my mind, I usually, like, work on it, and it makes me really relaxed.
Mm. Oh,
It's
that's beautiful. All right. Thank you, Evan, for responding to all these questions.
Thank you.
That's great to get to know you a little better. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, when you look back at your journey and all the things you've done, what does it make you feel?
It's a long journey because it started when I was very, very small. I met you. Like, I was around 5 years old when I started creating stories. I was using a tape
Mm.
recorder at home. I was recording my own stories, and then when my mom was coming home from work, or like anybody that I wanted to share those stories to, I would make them listen. And my mom at that time was our like, was a very well-known radio host, the storyteller, and the producer in the Turkish radio, our state kids radio, and our state radio as well. So growing up, I was kind of surrounded by both media professionals and children's authors. Kind of, it was and my urge to write made me write very early on, and made me a published author in my early 20s. And it starts from there. And then, like,
Mm.
I've studied a lot of things, but including, literature, comparative literature, child development, and then everything started to come together. My name means universe in Turkish. And at one point, I was asking mom, like, you named me universe, and now I have all these things that I am interested in. And when it's gonna all come up together? And she was saying, it also means cosmos. So it's the order of things. You will find a way. And yes, I did find a way. I started writing for children's TV. Before that, I was a very experienced TV person because I was a TV host and the producer for culture and arts shows. But like, what happened was, when our state kids TV was forming, I became one of the strategical consultants, and we were making a lot of shows in-house, as productions, and I was managing, I was creating formats, and then I was writing, like, and then our state kids TV became really very, very successful. And then with my good friend Irmak Atabek, we told, like, why don't we also open up to the world, And then we founded Mako Kids, just like you said, in 2017. And then, like, I was able to do a lot of things for the children around the world together with Turkish children. And then, like, I was able to create meaningful projects that create change in their lives. So
Mm.
today, I also am a mentor on various mentorship programs, including Children's Media Association, and I want to share and pass a passion of creating good content, good quality content for children which can create change. So when
Mm.
I reflect on my journey, it started in writing, but then it became this full thing that I can associate with as a person. Like, it's really
Mm.
hard for me to define who I am without mentioning children's content anymore.
Mm. That's very interesting. And and I'm wondering, at which moment did you decide to focus on children's content, since you've been creating content for adults and children and
Same time,
kind of
it
having,
started
yeah.
like that. It started like that. But then my first children's book became very popular. And
Mm.
then I was like, like, when you're creating things for children, it gives you kind of fulfillment that no other content can give you. And you get
Yeah.
addicted to it somehow. Yeah. It's, when people talk about stage, once you are on stage, then like you always like to be on stage. And same goes when
Mhm.
creating children's content. Once you start to create children's content, once you see how they smile when you talk about
Yeah.
this content, and once you see how you're empowering them, once you see how like it's the talk of the week, like it's when it's like that. And once you see, just like, to be able to talk to them with your content, like to be able to hold their hands, small hands, with your content, then, and hearts, it's like, it's something that you cannot really let go of.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that to a smaller scale, but I can definitely relate to that. And you mentioned that it's important to create quality content for children. How would you define what quality content is for children?
It's a very broad thing, you know uh,
Hmm.
I actually wrote my one of my theses on that. But like, in defining quality content for children, we need to come up to, like, there are various research findings that outline the key principles of engagement and how the quality content should look like. And it's very good that they are there, and
Hmm.
we as content creators can use them to make better content for children. So one of the main key principles is that it is deeply rooted in understanding and respecting their developmental stages, so interests as well, and the diversity of their backgrounds. So, what you're creating should be age appropriate, should take on its center the child, it should be child friendly, it should speak their language, both literally and metaphorically. Like, it should, like, utilize narratives, characters, music, and humor that would appeal to them, that would resonate with them. So it's not just accessible, but also engaging and enjoyable for children. And accessibility is another important subject because, like, should be accessible to all. So,
Mm.
including the most disadvantaged children, ensuring that it transcends barriers, it reaches every child. It should commit to equality and inclusivity. What else? Like, it should address children holistically,
Mm.
like considering their emotional needs, their social needs, and their intellectual needs. It's not just a single dimension of a child's development, it's nurturing their growth in a comprehensive manner. And it should reflect the dignity and diversity of children's experiences, that every child feels seen and represented
Mm.
in that content. One of the most important pillars of the projects that we do is also, like, it should be positive and strengths based, employing principles that build resilience and that support children's potential. We give a lot of importance to using positive psychology tools. It's about fostering self confidence, competence, and a sense of empowerment, encouraging children to see themselves as capable and active participants in the world that have a say, that can change the world.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
like, when you kind of put these principles into heart, and when you also put child rights at the back of your mind, then everything comes together. When you are creating a child content, you put the children first.
Hmm. I love that. I love also like the strength based approach. It's something that I've not heard a lot, at least like said that way, and I think it's very important. And I'm wondering, in practice, how do you manage to bring all these values into the work? Because I'm imagining that, and I know like there's such a variety of children and a diversity of children, and if you want all of them to feel seen and to feel that the content is meaningful to them, how do you concretely approach
Mhm.
the creation of the content to achieve that?
for the content, you have to know your target group very, very well. If it's a big target group, you use different methods. But if it's a smaller one, you use different methods. The age gap, the number is also very important because how you're creating the content actually matters for them. And another thing is, like you need to have a sample of people that you want inside the content represented. You need to have decisions. It's not just randomly choosing those, but it's mostly thinking about what your target age, what your target group is needing the most. Because if you are, for example, making content for a disadvantaged group, you need to keep their disadvantages in mind.
Mm. Do you have an example of like a project that you worked on
Many.
where you conducted? Yeah, I'm sure. Is there one you could share maybe to kind of like illustrate it and give us a
Sure,
sense of like the kind of research that you would do and how you would apply that research, yeah, in the content.
sure. Look, remember I told you about Kozalak Preschool, the project that we did
Mm-hmm.
for UNICEF, the Turkish Ministry of Education, and that was supported by EU. This project was, for example, deeply informed by research in children's development, media studies, and a commitment to sustainability and inclusivity. These were the two pillars of the project. So it was Kozalak Preschool is a preschool set in an imaginary town where sustainability practices are everyday, and it's part of an everyday life for the children at the preschool, and it's very normal, like and for them to, live in this totally sustainable neighborhood too. And but the series is not just about imparting knowledge, it's also about, it's kind of a movement for inclusivity, making every child feel seen and valued. So we wanted to put a lot of different type of children within our sample. But one of the most standout features of Kozalak Preschool, I should say, is the character, the inclusion of Irem. Irem is visually impaired as a character, and I've never seen it happen before. Actually, she could, she can see only 5%, and her creation was inspired by real insights of blind children of Parıltı Blind Kids Association. We listened to them,
Mm.
their experiences, their challenges, their dreams. They told us about the first day in preschool, how it felt, what other children told to them about their sticks, for example, walking sticks, like how they want to introduce themselves, what hardships they lived through. They told me all about these things. And then it's not just about adding the character, it's also for the sake of representation, it's about authenticity, like understanding and reflecting the lives of differently abled children in the content we create. We don't like to call disabled, and at Mako Kids we call differently abled because each of us is differently abled.
Mm.
So we also have other characters who are, like in our sample group, like, but we want to foster a sense of belonging and understanding among young viewers. We want to promote empathy, acceptance, and we want to promote diversity within our group. So, like,
Mm.
the series altogether exemplifies how research driven content can lead to this type of storytelling that not only entertains, educates, but also inspires in terms of, giving voice to a variety of children.
Mm. Yeah, I love this example and the importance you gave to get the actual voices of the children that were represented. I think is so important, and I don't know if it's done enough in the children's media space or even the media space in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really appreciate this example.
Another example would be Papo Hapo, our show uh, that is set in an imaginative East African town called Moja. It
Mm-hmm.
means unity in Swahili. And this series, for example, centers around the adventures of Nia and her diverse group of friends, including animals like goats and rhinos. But like it was conceived with the philosophy of Ubuntu. Like as Mako Kids, we have both operations in Istanbul, but also in Nairobi and various parts of the world. And in Nairobi, Irmak is in charge of three of our projects. One of them is Papa Hapo. And so, like, Ubuntu, it's a philosophy in African principle that says, I am because we are. So, this notion is woven into every narrative, teaching children about unity, friendship, our interconnectedness with nature and each other. So,
Mhm.
and each episode is centered around an African proverb, which serves as a foundation for the story and presenting opportunities for humor and learning. And for
Mm.
example, we wanted to kind of celebrate diversity and inclusion with totally African creators, and so that every child can have an African friend, you know?
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I'm curious actually about this. The fact that you have operation in Istanbul, in Kenya. You're working with global organization like UNICEF. How does that work in terms of Mako Kids itself, and like how do you navigate like such a multicultural and kind of complex environment interactions with different part of the
Yeah, we
organization?
we we work with people from around the globe, and it comes with
Yeah.
this advantages and kind of like challenges, of course, like, but the key to keeping everything together is communication, and then learning from each other and understanding how things work, you know even when writing scripts, like we try to make sure that the culture we are in is actually respected, and
Mm.
like that there is not one specific way of doing things, but we try to understand how the narratives are formed in that specific culture. We also work with a lot of MENA region broadcasters. One of our most famous shows is the one we created for Bain Neo. They have a preschool channel called Barayan, and we did a show called Fafa and Friends for 52 episodes, and it was aired in Arabic and still airing in Arabic. It's one of the top most watched in preschool shows in the region. And like we wanted to, you know we work with good cultural consultants, and we try to make sure that everybody kind of feels represented
Mm.
in every
Yeah,
sense.
that's so important. Yeah. I love that. And when you create content, how do you assess what type of content will be most impactful? In that sense, I mean, so you create TV series, you also create animated series that will go like on YouTube, or do you create also like print or like books, still creating books for children? Like, how do you choose what medium to use for what project?
Sometimes the projects also choose their mediums,
Yeah.
because like and even new mediums emerge, then like the projects have a say, like, oh, I should
Mm,
be very very interactive, says one project, and then you say, oh, then you'll better be an educational lab rather than, like it's more like that.
mm.
So but I'm feeling okay just to be a TV series, says another projects, and we go on with that. We listen to the project.
Got it. Yeah. And I'm wondering, kind of along with this line, um, writing like children's book is kind of a very different experience from writing TV shows.
Exactly.
And you started with writing books, I believe. Like, how did you? translate like your experience in writing books to like writing TV series? Is it completely a completely different experience? Is there like a lot of transferable skills? Like how does that transition work for you?
I try to keep my pens and pencils as elastic as possible. I try to understand what each genre needs the most, and uh, their strengths and also weaknesses. So, and I also, like, give a very long course actually on writing for children on one of our biggest universities here. And, like, every genre, every medium needs another thing. And I also share this, with my students or the people who want to write for children. And you just need to keep your pen or pencil elastic or keyboard.
Hmm. I love this image. um, and going back on the yeah, I love that. Going back on your partnership with UNICEF, because that's a project that is going to affect a lot of children, and you're working on this project that can affect like children worldwide. I'm wondering, and you talk about the sustainability aspect. Like, what is the role of children's media in promoting messages around sustainability, and what impact can it have?
UNICEF is the custodian of sustainable development goals in terms of children. So, and we are not very close to the goals actually. um, so we need to be very, very careful in understanding the goals, and that the children also do really need them, and we need to understand that how we create content can affect the way they look at things and can empower them to ask for change and create change. One of the key parts of this is that one. Another thing is, like, our partnership with UNICEF started with Kozalak Preschool. We first started with a short agreement. And then it turned into a long-term agreement, which is about creating social behavior change campaigns.
Hmm.
And we are going to put our hearts and souls into this because, like, we are very experienced in terms of content creation and conveying the right message. But, like, it's also, like, we want this collaboration to leverage our, expertise in creating meaningful content, because we will address through, campaigns, very critical issues such as health, hygiene, gender, nutrition, and so the scope of our work under this partnership is very extensive.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious for when you talk about social behavior change and those messages that you want to pass on and those changes that you want kind of to lead with that new generation
Yeah.
through those messages. Um, does it change the way you create the shows? Is there some things that you um, some principles or some elements that you add to the show that are specific to the idea of creating that social uh, behavior change?
We work with a large group of experts, and every change campaign or everything that includes social behavioral change actually comes with its own set of experts. But we also utilize what I told in the beginning, the quality content metrics. Like, I have big checklists all the time. We do write with a lot of, like, fun, engagement, and entertainment in mind. We also keep all these things at the back of our minds. And, like, we double check with a lot of experts that what we are doing is correct, and what we are doing is able to convey the messages. And we also work with, for example, social scientists, and what we are doing is actually going to create change. And,
Hmm.
like, it has its own science, I should say. And
Hmm.
but, like, even before that, when I first started Mako Kids with Irmak, I had this vision of creating change through good quality content because, like I was working on it for some time and I was seeing the results in Turkish children, you know, and I was seeing the results in families, not just children, because when you empower children, you empower families.
Mm.
So, and like one of the most, one of the strongest things uh, in the world is a story because it can travel a message for as long as it goes, and think of, fairy tales. Mm, some fairy tales are around 6,000 year old and travel
Wow.
the whole globe in various ways, like
Mm.
think of the Jack and the Beanstalk, for example. There,
Mm.
like it's able to carry its message for more than 6,000 years throughout the human history. So, what we're
Yeah.
dealing with is a very strong thing. And it actually is kind of in our brains since the times we were sitting around a fire and keeping each other entertained.
Hmm. And because it's so like stories are so powerful, do you worry sometimes that are you worried you might pass a wrong message like inadvertently, but are you worried that might happen and you don't pass that the message that you wanted to pass in the end?
Being worried is good. Then it keeps you responsible. If you're not too worried, then that's too bad. Because
Hmm.
then that means you're not even uh, giving it the right importance you should give. You should it,
Hmm.
being worried in a healthy dose is good. Then because then you're able to consult people, then you're able to understand what you're doing, then you're able to equip yourself with more and more each day. You are able to learn, you're able to carry that responsibility with you.
Hmm. I'm curious when you studied Mako Kids, and so you wanted to create that children's media, that impact through children's media and passing those messages. So there's a part of children's media that is educational or want to have that form of influence, and there's a part of children's media that's purely for entertainment.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's more difficult when you want to create content with that social impact to to build up your company and to like come out in the world and create that content versus creating content that is mostly focused of entertainment. So like, where is the balance
It's
here?
it's a hard balance. But like pure entertainment content, although it claims to be not educational, the children are always learning.
Hmm.
Like the childhood is a learning experience.
Hmm.
All throughout childhood, you learn, and every day is a learning experience for you. And everything you watch, you learn something from it, whether it's
Hmm.
designated, designed by purpose, or not. So it's like, and you also learn a lot from it. Entertainment content. We like to know what we are doing, and that's the only thing that separates us while
Mm.
entertaining the kids. So, yes, the balance is important, but like education, quality content doesn't mean that's preachy. That's looking down on like you should do it like this. It's not like that. It's pure fun too because like the children learn best when they enjoy it the most.
Yeah, that's why it's all a balance between
Yeah.
the
But currently
great
there's
and
a
yeah.
growing
Mhm.
awareness in the industry. Like before, like and that there are a lot of people who are contributing to this. It's very important that like for example the many of the shows on PBS Kids, the our industry's anchor ships like Sesame Street, and like there are very 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 important content that goes all around the world, and they're also very fun. They're not like just educational or you know
Yeah.
they are, and you can keep a balance. You just shouldn't be too lazy, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. No, there's no such thing as just educational or just
Yeah,
fun. It's always somewhere on the spectrum. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's kind of the intention you put behind it that can be
yeah,
different.
yeah,
Yeah, awesome. And I'd love to spend some time also talking about kids AI because that's the topic that I'm very interested in.
yeah. Me too.
um, what motivated you to create
Many
kids
things,
AI?
many things. But like, it was kind of my passion, like, whenever new mediums emerge, I'm like, I should try this. But then, like this with AI, we have a project called AIris. And in it, there is a main character, which is like a language model. And we created that project before ChatGPT emerged. We even talked with
Hmm.
OpenAI at that time, like we have this, because we were, constantly checking what's going on in AI, like how the world is going to change, like it. And I wrote, an episode myself, and I was, looking at the things, like how a language model would think, like it was at that time called GPT-3, and I was trying to imagine how it would feel, sound, and then a crazy thing happened, like everybody started talking about AI. And for us, like it's about integrating technology and AI into children's media is a must, because everything is
Hmm.
going that way, and one day we thought, like we should do something like kids AI, because everybody was talking about, the AI should be responsible, safe for children. The models that are used, the generative AI that's going to be used. Like the anything that included an AI technology in it. So we thought, okay, we want to come up with something that talks about, you know, responsible, safe, ethical, beneficial, and transparent AI practices, tools, and services in children's media and products.
Hmm.
And that's how KidsAI was born. So it first started as an internet hub at kidsai.io, and then it slowly turned into this consultants hub. We have, like right now in our consultants hubs, there are various experts from various fields, and including AI research, ethical AI, child psychology and AI, education and AI. So we wanted to pull together this wealth of knowledge and expertise so that we ensure that AR driven solutions are grounded in the latest research, but also in best practices, and making, like learning in a way, not just fun, but also meaningful. And also, we believe in the transformative power of technology, and we
Hmm.
think, through this initiative, we aim to create an environment where AI serves as a tool for empowerment, enabling the children to explore, learn, and grow in a digital age with confidence and creativity. So we give a lot of importance in, shaping how AI is going to be used in children's media and children's products.
Hmm. Yeah, it's such a large topic for sure. But I'm wondering what are some opportunities that you see in AI for children's media, if used responsibly, if used ethically,
Yeah, yeah, but like the five pillars of kids AI, that, like responsible, safe, ethical, transparent, and beneficial, are very, very important for us, because, like
Hmm.
all the latest controversy around AI actually turns around these, as you can
Hmm.
already
Yeah.
you're reading all over the.
Mm.
Net.
Yeah. And how would you introduce AI in your work, or how could AI enhance the content that for example you're creating with Mako Kids? Is there some ways you could see it working together?
Yeah, we can do many, many things. But, like incorporating, right now, what we are trying to do is on more AI literacy and preparing the children for AI environments, because the future
Mm.
is there and they will need a lot of those in order to, be competent individuals.
Mm. Got it. So the objective is more to educate the new generation about AI so that they're able to navigate that world
Yeah, we
better.
create
And
projects like, for example, in all over the world, you also see this tendency to, for example, personal trainers, personal mentors from AI, and we also like to create, for example, AI buddies for children, because, you know, what's good about it is it can be very, very personal experience too, because it can be tailor made for each
mm,
child. Now it's giving us the opportunity to create good content that's tailor made for a child.
mm. And do you think that's from your experience in like creating stories for children, do you feel that AI could at some point be able to create stories in the sense that you would be able to build, the back end of the tool, but then the stories could be delivered directly and individually to children in a way that could be quality enough in terms of quality content that that you described at the beginning?
Matthew, I think human creativity is very important thing, and with our AI technology right now, it cannot be surpassed at this moment. Maybe later, we don't know. Like if an AI can pass a Turing test, then why not? Like be very, very creative. Like it could be. But it also, like the human creativity is also a very different thing, because we see it in its rawest form and strongest form in children. That means with
Mm,
kind of education, we are kind of ruining it. That means maybe we can also think of ways to make AI help children be more creative.
mm.
Why
To
not?
support that creativity that they already have and like keep that creativity
Yeah.
as they grow. I love that. All right, I've. It's been a fascinating conversation. I have one last question
Okay.
before the end that I love to ask everybody. If you could design a school around one thing, what would it be and why?
Matthew, I have already designed that. Kozalak preschool is, like is my brainchild, and now it exists as a cartoon series. I have designed every corner of it, like together with a large group of experts, and I've put my heart and soul into it. And yes, it's revolving around sustainability, but it's also revolving around playful learning, play-based learning, and I think it's very, very important, the pedagogy of play. And we're going to hear more and more of it in the later years, because it will also be one of the things that in this AI driven world that will keep our children competent, because
Hmm.
play makes you creative, play keeps you in a kind of a structure, but it also helps you learn in ways that you're not able to in other ways.
Awesome. I love that it's the first time that the answer is I've done it. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Eren, for all those insights you shared with us
Thank you,
and this conversation.
Matthew.
And where can people find more information about you, Mako Kids, KidsAI, and your work in general?
Okay, if you want to dive deeper into Mako Kids, what we do, how we, like use our kind of innovative approach in children's media, we would invite you to visit our official website, makokids.io, and also digital platforms. We use LinkedIn most actively. And at makokids.io, you'll find comprehensive information about our ethos, like our creative endeavors, our impact in the realm of children's media in this part of the world and globally. And also, if you want to dive deeper into this AI talk, integrating AI technology and educational content and children's content, KidsAI IO is the dedicated hub there. Here you can see a lot of, the site provides case studies, research insights and updates on how we are harnessing technology to redefine children's media. But it's also, we also have a newsletter for kidsai.io. And if you are working on children's media and if you want to dive deeper into how AI is going to transform things, it's a very good resource on having almost everything regarding like the regulations, the new technologies, the news itself, and so across these platforms, you can join us as a community, because we want to enrich children's lives in innovative and entertaining and good quality media
Yes.
content. I came back to where I
Awesome.
started.
Perfect. That's perfect. And I'll put all the links in the details of the podcast so everyone can check them out. And I encourage everyone to sign up for the newsletter as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evren.
Thank you. It was wonderful to see you and talk with you. And I truly appreciate this podcast series and hope to see you sometime later.
Yes, I need to go to Turkey and to Istanbul. Such a beautiful city.
You like-
Thank you, Evren. Bye.
Bye bye.